Now the last 2 or 3 come forward, and Red Crescent will complete the field. And they're all in.
They're under starters' orders. They're off.
Well, East Barnes dwelt a little as the stalls opened, so too did Gallant Effort. Lady Polly is the first to go on, so they settle down with Lady Polly on the inside, being passed now by Sunset Street. Red Crescent has gone third, then close behind these comes Pym's Gunner. So they settle down now with Sunset Street on the inside, closely attended by Red Crescent. Behind these, Pym's Gunner races on the outside of Lady Polly. A close fifth is Sail Past, with Green Hills Lad wide of these in 6, and close behind them Eternal Flame. A gap of 2 or 3 lengths to Gallant Effort and East Barnes, and quietly impressive as they race down now towards the point 5.5 furlongs from home, and Sunset Street with a half-length advantage from Red Crescent, and there's a gap of 2 or 3 lengths to Sail Past, who just sheds Pym's Gunner for third. On the outside of these, as they race for the turn for the home, is Green Hills Lad. Eternal Flames made up a couple of places into 5, ahead of Pym's Gunner 6, and close behind these comes Pay to Dream. So they sweep into the straight with Sunset Street and Red Crescent, and these two have gone some lengths clear of their rivals. Close behind them, Green Hills Lad racing wide, ahead of Eternal Flame in 4. Then comes Sail Past in 5, and then behind these, making some ground, comes Pine Glen Pepper. But Sunset Street now beginning to wear down Red Crescent. Eternal Flame is making steady headway. He's gone third. Green Hills Lad in 4. Quietly Impressive comes up to challenge Sail Past for 5. Lady Polly comes next, but in the meantime, Eternal Flame has very easily gone into the lead well before the furlong marker. Eternal Flame's gone 4 clear. Red Crescent on the far side is just second ahead of Sunset Street. Making ground into third place, Green Hills Lad. Lady Polly makes ground, but the leader well clear. This is Eternal Flame, at least 6 lengths clear, going for the line. Eternal Flame being eased. Green Hills Lad for second. Lady Polly third. Red Crescent 4 and East Barnes 5.
First, number 9. Second, number 12. And a photograph for third place. First, number 9, Eternal Flame. Second, number 12, Green Hills Lad. And a photograph for third place.
Have gone some lengths clear of their rivals. Close behind them, Green Hills Lad racing wide, ahead of Eternal Flame in 4. Then comes Sail Past in 5, and then behind these, making some ground, comes Pine Glen Pepper. But Sunset Street now beginning to wear down Red Crescent. Eternal Flame is making steady headway. He's gone third. Green Hills Lad in 4. Quietly Impressive comes up to challenge Sail Past for 5. Lady Polly comes next, but in the meantime, Eternal Flame has very easily gone into the lead well before the furlong marker. Eternal Flame's gone 4 clear. Red Crescent on the far side is just second ahead of Sunset Street. Making ground into third place, Green Hills Lad. Lady Polly makes ground, but the leader well clear. This is Eternal Flame, at least 6 lengths clear, going for the line. Eternal Flame being eased. Green Hills Lad for second. Lady Polly third. Red Crescent 4 and East Barnes 5.
Leopardstown, they've weighed in. Leopardstown weighed in. Jelly Roll Blues is in, so we're all lined up at Redcar. Under orders and running at 5:18. Off Redcar at 5:18, straight to Derek Thompson.
Right side in the centre of the picture in the yellow colours. Claudia Miss is just behind them. And on this side in the orangey colours, this is Grey Realm. Behind that one is Lust of Love. And it's Grey Realm who's taken them along with Miss Brightside. Just behind this one is Lust of Love. I'm looking for the favourite Uska, who's on the inside tracking Lust of Love. On the outside, Trina Healer coming over from the far side. Also there is Debsy Dew in the chocolate colours. And Granny MC is also showing good early speed. So they're coming down towards the 4 furlong marker. In the yellow colours, it's Miss Brightside. Grey Realm and the orange on this side. On the left of the picture is Lust of Love. Then comes Uska against the stand side rails. While on the far side, Trina Healer is showing up plenty well. Also there in the chocolate colours is Debsy Dew. Now they're coming down towards the 2.5 furlong point now. And coming under pressure is Miss Brightside in the yellow colours. Lust of Love. Also making a forward move is Granny MC. But on the stand side rails, it's Lust of Love. coming through with Uska, and Uska now comes through to challenge Miss Brightside. These two stride for stride. Claudia Miss is third, also finishing quite well on the outside is Debsy Do. They're coming inside the final furlong, and as they now go towards the last 150 yards, it's Eternal Flame under Michael Hills, who's going for a treble today. While on the wide outside, the Royal Girl is finishing like a flying machine, but on the line, Eternal Flame wins it. Royal Girl is second.
Result at Redcar, 5 Eternal Flame the winner, 11 Royal Girl second, 15 Miss Brightside was third. That's 5 Eternal Flame, 11 Royal Girl, 15 Miss Brightside.
At the inaugural Cartier Awards, a direct European counterpart of North America's Eclipse Awards, it was announced that Henri Chaloup's Suave Dancer had been voted 3-year-old colt of 1991. This represented a remarkable turnaround for the colt, as Suave Dancer had appeared in July to be only a distant second in popular esteem behind the brilliant Generals who'd beaten him in the Irish Derby. But it represented also the completion of a much more remarkable turnaround in the fortunes as a racehorse owner of Henri Chaloup himself. During the 1980s, Chaloup, a Canadian-based international insurance broker, had many horses in training in France. But he'd endured a lack of success that can only be described as spectacular. In the last 5 years of the 80s, he'd had just one winner in the 1989 Prix-Perth at Saint-Cloud.
Miss Kenmar qui vient à 50 mètres du poteau. Miss Kenmar vient de prendre l'avantage. Silicon Lady prend la seconde place, suivi par Valderroy qui est troisième. J'ai deux amours quatrième, Malaspina cinquième.
In 1989, he asked Keith Asmussen, father of France's champion jockey Cash, to find him some horses at Keeneland. For a total of just over $200,000, Asmussen Sr. found him 5. On the advice of Cash and a member of the Société d'Encouragement, the horses were sent to be trained by the young Shanty-based Englishman, John Hammond. 4 of the 5 were winners. 2 of the 5 were group winners. One of them was a champion, the discovery of which has had a profound and happy effect on a family of dedicated racing enthusiasts.
It have give us, let's say, kind of identification to a winning horse, and this is good because it puts in the family sparkling voyages and things which perhaps without the horse we would not have done it.
We do enjoy the excitement, of course, all the family, even my grandson. It's incredible. But I don't think that he changed. He's a big happiness, but still the same man. My mother-in-law was there, my brother-in-law. My husband liked to share with all the family. He's very family man, and that's beautiful.
It would be being wise after the event for any of those now closest to this son of Green Dancer and the alleged mare Suavite to pretend that they realized immediately that they had something special in their care. Suave Dancer wasn't one of those advanced colts who impose themselves on their generations almost from the moment serious two-year-old racing begins. In fact, he was rather backward and a little disorganised at 2. His single outing in the back end of that season was as much educational as it was competitive, and although he ran through horses in heavy ground to finish a creditable 3rd, he gave nothing more than grounds for optimism that he might be a good horse at 3. No real hint then of the potential within him.
There are a lot of horses that back-end two-year-olds, they have one quiet run and they finish a strong finishing 3rd, and you bracket them in the category of he's going to make a nice 3-year-old and he should improve. But there is, there's a difference between that and winning a group race by 5 lengths at 2.
Suave Dancer gave a clearer indication of the horse he was to become when he destroyed a field of by no means useless maidens in his first outing at 3.
Sous le commandement de Romelio qui accélère nettement. Sidiran qui tente de venir l'attaquer à l'extérieur. Hiddleston, 3e côté corde. À son extérieur, Kilter qui est aux prises avec Renbury. Suave Dancer déboîtant 4e épaisseur alors que True Brave en 5e épaisseur. Il reste 400 mètres à parcourir et cette fois c'est Suave Dancer qui vient de déborder nettement Romelio qui plafonne à la corde et même dépassé par Hiddleston pendant que True Brave plafonne en 3e position à 50 mètres du poteau. C'est Suave Dancer qui l'emporte nettement et précède Hiddleston qui est 2e et qui est suivi par True Brave aux prises avec Romelio à quelques longueurs de Sidiran Renbury.
I think the way he won the race was fantastic. He won by 8 lengths and with so much easy running that it was unbelievable.
But the real revelation came in the Prix Greffoul. The field for this recognised trial for the French Classics included the cricket-head-trained Beau Sultan, who'd been runner-up to the champion 2-year-old Hector Protector in the Grand Criterium of 1990. And Toulon, trained by André Fabre, from whom Hammond had learnt his profession, and a horse who later in the season was to run out a comfortable winner of the St. Leger.
I really wouldn't say that I thought he was a superstar until after the prep work for the Greffoul, and then I knew it was something different. He did things too easy. I felt that I was trying not to be too optimistic because we were too involved. I mean, my family was involved. I was really trying not to get caught up in the whole thing, and then one morning I just came back after, I believe it was 10 days before the Greffoul, and I told Jean, this is something different.
The growing conviction of such a good judge was one thing. The Prix Greffoul was quite another. This was to be Henri Chaloup's colt's first encounter with genuine proven class. Would he be up to it, or would any limitations be exposed?
The pacemaker, though, is Berry, going along about 1.5 lengths in front of True Brave. Toulon in the box seat there on the outside 3rd at this stage. From tucked away Polly's Carross, and further back in the field then at this stage is Suave Dancer in the hooped sleeves on the outside, beautifully poised 5th. Tucked away next is Secteur Bleu. Further back in the field, Beau Sultan from Funny Baby the outside, and Bright Glow tucked away as last of all. But still the pacemakers are right up there, cutting out a good gallop too. On the inside, Berry just in front of True Brave. Then behind them is Polly's Carross, then Toulon starting to ease to the outside now as they come to the home turn. Suave Dancer, though, is tracking Toulon, and further back is Beau Sultan, further back then Secteur Bleu the centre, and on the outside is Funny Baby. They're homeward bound now, and Toulon sprints to the lead, but tackled immediately by Suave Dancer on the outside. Suave Dancer applies the pressure, goes a length in front now. Toulon on the outside has no answers at all. Beau Sultan's running on fairly well from a long way back, but sprinting clear, it's Suave Dancer who goes on for a very stylish win. In second placing is Beau Sultan, 3rd Toulon.
So that was it. In an instant, French racing had a new hero. But the victor of the Prix Greffoul, for all his astonishing acceleration, was still something of an unknown. His demolition of the opposition in his 2 races as a 3-year-old had required nothing much more of him than a demonstration of athleticism. His next race was the Prix Lupin, the major trial for the French Derby. And in spite of the fact that the Turfis, hugely impressed by the Greffoul, were to regard it as a foregone conclusion and sent him off at 10-1 on favourite, this was a race in which he was going to have to fight for the first time.
Almendares, though, setting a good pace, leads by a couple of lengths to Kudas. 1.5 lengths away, then Bright Glow the outside. From tucked away is 9 Carats. Suave Dancer's nicely poised on the outside. Steamer Duck is tucked away about second last, and Aranzano last of all. About 7 or 8 lengths covers the field as they stride down now towards the home turn. And it's Kudas moving up on the outside now to tackle Almendares. Then on the outside, Bright Glow, 9 Carat in the pink cap is now starting to get into the clear. Suave Dancer taken out wide, called on for his effort now, but Kudas sprints to the lead now from 9 Carat, who's under pressure, then Bright Glow. The outside, Suave Dancer's got plenty of room now, but it's Kudas 2 lengths in front. Suave Dancer, he's ducking towards the inside now under pressure. It's Kudas about 2 or 3 lengths in front. Suave Dancer starting to pick him up, but it might be too late. Kudas holding on, and Kudas gets there from in second placing Suave Dancer. A long gap then to Bright Glow in third.
When you have a horse who starts 10 to 1 on for a Group 1 race, you always have an underlying feeling that it's almost too good to be true and something then could go wrong.
Whether the new sensation of French racing was putting up a little bit of overweight in the form of overconfidence is a matter which Cash Asmussen's die-hard critics will no doubt still enjoy debating. But the fact is that Suave Dancer was caught out in the Lupin by a good horse at the peak of his form who got an uncomplicated first run on him and then held the advantage to the line. It was also the first time that Suave Dancer had been struck by that whip.
He sort of dived both ways actually when you hit him, but he'd never been hit before, ever. Home or in a race, and in his own way he's a very sensitive horse, and I think it was a major shock, and he probably resented it a bit being hit, but it was something he had to go through, and it was as well that it happened in that race and not in the Jockey Club.
If there was an excuse, it was my judgment, but no one was more surprised than I was that he ran green that day.
The dive that Suave Dancer took to the right that day left him with a cut in his mouth and his unbeaten record as a 3-year-old broken. But it left him too with a bit more information about the business of racing, and this horse is a quick learner. As John Hammond said, it was as well that it happened in that race and not in the Jockey Club.
Yeah, in the Jockey Club we had a preparation work for the Jockey Club a little bit more severe than what we would have wanted to if we're talking about physical condition. But physical condition didn't beat Suave Dancer in the Lupin. Mental condition beat him, 2 green. So I didn't say we take him out there with 7 leaders and see if he could beat him, but I would say that we got him knocked around a bit by another. He took a couple bumps by a couple other horses in his work, and when I pushed the button, I gave him every chance to go off course so that I could put him back in line and show him that staying in line was a heck of a lot easier than getting off course, but he didn't. So I was pleased with that, but I would say that he did have a fairly good work 10 days before the Jockey Club to ensure that when I came up the middle of the track at Chantilly that he didn't run green on his own.
Chantilly on the day of the Prix du Jockey Club, and French racing is prepared to forgive Chaloup's colt his apparent aberration in the Lupin. Once again, he's sent off as favourite, even though Kudas is in the field again. This time there are no aberrations, no mistakes. This time we're to see that all the superlatives that have been lavished on Suave Dancer have not been misplaced.
Now racing in the Prix du Jockey Club Lancia of 1991, and Kudas on the right of the screen first to begin. Lucia Reverti in the green cap in the centre is right up there early and wants to get a sit in behind something. Steamer Duck is restrained as well. Justice on the inside and the yellow sleeves is handy. Suave Dancer taken to the outside, and the centre is Subotica, and further back then Bright Glow the inside. Settling down and not a great deal of early pace on the early stages. Justice is right up there in company with Lucia Reverti in the centre. Kudas right off the track, and the starred sleeves is very prominent as well. In behind them, Suave Dancer, who gets a good sit early from Subotica, and further back is Steamer Duck in company with Bright Glow. Through the first 2.5 furlongs, and Justice on the inside, the leader. Fractionally by half a length at this stage, the Lucia Reverti. Kudas is trapped out 3 wide. In behind them in the early stages, Subotica, followed next in the field by Suave Dancer. Further back is Steamer Duck, and last of all is Bright Glow. Continuing their journey down the far side, and Justice takes them along at a leisurely pace by half a length to Lucia Reverti. Kudas is sitting next on the outside of Subotica, a length then to Suave Dancer. Further back then on the inside, Bright Glow, and last of all is Steamer Duck, only about 7 or 8 lengths off the pace. Justice still cutting it out by half a length to Lucia Reverti. A length away then on the inside of this stage, Subotica, a half length to Kudas. Further back then, Bright Glow travelling on the inside of Suave Dancer, who's going very well, and Steamer Duck whips them in. Heading down towards the home turn now in the Prix du Jockey Club Lancia. And the leader is Justice on the inside, only a neck to Lucia Averti. In behind them is Cudis, going well on the outside of Subotica. Further back then, Suave Dancer still third last from Bright Glow. And last of all is Steamer Duck. They're on the turn for home now, and Justice on the inside, a half length to Lucia Averti. Subotica in behind them. Cudis taken to the outside now. Suave Dancer still sitting in behind them. Further back then is Bright Glow and Steamer Duck. They're homeward bound now, and it's Lucia Averti who goes for home in the centre. In the green cap, it's Lucia Averti leading from Justice. Cudis on the outside, he steals a peep, and here's Suave Dancer on his left shoulder. It's our Suave Dancer giving his head, ranges up on the outside and races to the lead. Suave Dancer goes 2 lengths in front in a stride. Cudis is next, followed then by Subotica, Lucia Averti, but it's all Suave Dancer in the Jockey Club. He's about 4 or 5 lengths in front and racing away for a most impressive win. Suave Dancer goes on to win from Subotica, third then Cudis.
More than a quarter of a century earlier, Tony Morris, the most famous commentator on racing pedigrees, had seen Seabird win his Arc. Now, he decided that the performance he saw that day was so superb that he wouldn't bother to go again until he thought there might be the chance of seeing a horse who could match it. As soon as he'd seen the Prix du Jockey Club, Tony Morris booked his ticket to Paris for October. But if Suave Dancer's supremacy in France was now unquestionable, he was not the undisputed king of Europe. The English-trained colt Generous had won the Derby at Epsom with equal authority and with a different style of galloping, the long surge for home rather than the sharp thrust from the back of the field, that led many to believe that in a true run race between the two, he would be able to draw the French champion's sting. Besides, not everyone was as convinced as Tony Morris by the quality of Suave Dancer's achievement at Chantilly. They pointed out that the time had been relatively slow, that the opposition might not have been as strong as in previous years, and they wondered whether a horse with so much finishing speed could possibly be a true stayer. And they decided that there was still reason to doubt whether the influence of the alleged blood on the dam side was enough to offset the stamina doubts about the sire Green Dancer. The whole of European racing wanted to see the confrontation between the two Derby winners, just as the boxing world might demand to see a confrontation between two great heavyweights. But it would be fair to say that at the time the majority opinion was that when these two thrilling horses met, Generous would prevail. Well, the confrontation came in the Budweiser Irish Derby on the Curragh on June the 30th, 1991. Cash Asmussen, who'd got to know Suave Dancer so well by this time, was injured and had to watch the race from the stands as Walter Swinburne stood in as his deputy. Nevertheless, John Hammond was almost as confident of victory as Generous's trainer Paul Cole. Something or someone was going to have to give.
91 and they're away. Now let's see what's going to happen in the early stages. Nobody too keen to go on at the moment. Barry's run one off the rail and moving on to the rail now. The leader, Generous, with Sports World up there on the outside, and Nordic Admirer going with Barry's run. And as they race through the first furlong, Barry's run just the leader from Nordic Admirer. Generous is right up with them on the outside. Then Star of Gdansk and Sports World, and Suave Dancer tucked in the back mark of the 6. Not going a particularly strong pace, and Barry's run, Nordic Admirer, Generous on the outside. Then Star of Gdansk tracking Barry's run. Sports World running about 5th. And the back mark of the 6 is still Suave Dancer, and Generous has gone up now on the outside to dispute the lead. Alan Munro not content with the early pace and is disputing it now on the Derby winner on the outside. On the inside is Barry's run, Nordic Admirer between horses, and they're followed by Sports World. Star of Gdansk on the inside of Suave Dancer as they stretch along the far side of the course up by the mile point, and Generous is the leader. From second, Barry's run, then Nordic Admirer just behind the Sports World in the green colours, yellow sash, then Star of Gdansk on the inside, and Suave Dancer and Walter Swinburne bringing up the rear as they run on now towards the top of the hill. They're approaching the halfway stage, and Generous has a lead of over 2 lengths. In second place, Nordic Admirer, with Barry's run, the rank outsider, still in touch on the inside. Sports World just behind him, then Star of Gdansk, and at the back, Suave Dancer beginning to improve now. At the 5 furlong pole, Generous the leader. Sports World makes a forward move and closes in second. Just behind these, Nordic Admirer making ground, Suave Dancer on the outside. Barry's run drops away. They come towards the half-mile pole, and we're poised for a thriller here with Generous in the lead. followed by Sports World for Ireland in second. Suave Dancer, the French challenger, 3, and Star of Gdansk just behind them. They're clear of the others as they swing into the straight. In the Budweiser Irish Derby, and Generous and Alan Munro in the lead. Sports World, Leslie Piggott second. Here comes Suave Dancer on the outside. Christy Roach hard at work on Star of Gdansk. Over 2 furlongs to race, and Generous has asked for his effort. Here comes Suave Dancer on the outside. Sports World is finding little. Then Star of Gdansk, they're inside the 2, and it's Generous going for home, chased by Suave Dancer. A furlong and a half to race. Generous, Suave Dancer coming on the near side. Back in third is Star of Gdansk. They hit the furlong pole. Generous the far side, Suave Dancer the near side. Generous by 3 parts. Suave Dancer in second, racing to the last 100 yards, and Generous is the leader. He's fought off the French challenger and racing up the line. Generous going away at the finish, wins it well under Alan Munro by 2.5 lengths. Suave Dancer is second, and they're clear of Star
Afterwards, there was very little doubt in people's minds about what they'd seen. The French Derby winner had challenged the winner of the Senior Classic. He had ranged up to him, looking dangerous a furlong out, and then Generous had kicked again and broken him to establish himself as the champion of Europe. The consensus was that Suave Dancer had simply been outstayed.
I thought Walter rode him very well, but it's never the same riding a horse for the first time as riding the horse for the 5th or 6th time, which it would have been in Cash's case had he been on the horse. Generous was undoubtedly on top of his game in Midsummer, and he was a very, very good horse that day. It was a slightly strange racing. They went no pace in the first 2 furlongs, and then Generous went on in front, and nobody really took him on. And Walter had quite a difficult decision to make. His horse was relaxed, but he was quite a long way behind Generous, and he had to make up quite a lot of ground before they turned into the straight. I'm not sure he really got outstayed. I think it was a combination of factors that led to him getting beaten on the day.
When Generous went on to rout some of the best older horses around in the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes at Ascot the following month, few gave a thought to the horse he'd beaten in Ireland as a possible future threat to his apparent dominance. But Hammond, while making no excuses and recognising unreservedly that Suave Dancer had been beaten by a better horse on the day, was not despondent about the Irish defeat, nor was he prepared to accept that the issue between Suave Dancer and Generous had been settled for good. Generous had had a full and distinguished career as a 2-year-old, whilst the colt in his care had run just the once in late autumn. He felt sure that there must be more improvement left in Suave Dancer than there could possibly be in the horse who just humbled him. The secret in preparing a horse for the autumn challenges seems to be to avoid letting him down too far when you rest him after his summer exertions.
We never actually turned him out. It depends on the horses whether I think some benefit from it, some don't. His work rate was obviously toned down considerably. We left immediately after the Irish Derby. I think he was let out for about 8 or 9 days, so he went 8 or 9 days without having a saddle on his back. And then he was ridden out every day, going to the same place every day, going through the same routine, just walking and jogging for another 10 days, and then slowly coming back doing steady canters. We took him to Deauville during August for 2.5 weeks, again for a little bit of a psychological break on the one hand, and on the other hand it was Deauville, you're training on the track every day, and it was a different experience for him, and he walked around the paddock in the afternoons during racing, so he was going through the syndrome of being a racehorse without actually running his race, and I think that did him some good.
And the planning of the horse's campaigns has been one of the great pleasures for all concerned with Suave Dancer.
It's fun, it's very much a team effort. Cash, Henri Chaloub and I, we all sit down together and say, right, we've got an option of this race, that race, or doing this or that, and particularly in the case of whether we ran in Ireland in the Irish Champion Stakes or the Prix-Niel before the Arc, that was quite a decision that took a bit of thinking over, and we all sat down and thought about it, stated our point of view. It's quite useful being 3 because you get a you vote and it gets carried one way or another. And he's very good like that, in that once we sit down and decide something, that's it, and we say, right, we're doing that, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but that's the plan, and there's no going back, which is great. It's a lot of fun working like that.
One of the basic principles in riding a horse is supposed to be to make sure that, if he throws you, you get straight back on to reassure yourself and show him who's boss. Well, the Chaloub camp seems to have followed the same principle in deciding where to send Suave Dancer for his Arc Preliminary. He was to miss the Prix-Niel, the more conventional prep race for French-trained Arc colts, and go back instead to Ireland for the Irish Champion Stakes at Leopardstown. In aiming for this target, the Connections were certainly not taking any easy option. In the Irish Champion, he was set to meet Zoman, a multiple group race winner, who'd been narrowly defeated by the 1990 Prix du Jockey Club winner Saint-Glamour in the Prix d'Ispahan. Also Topanora, the best older horse in Ireland, who'd beaten Rock Hopper in the Hardwick Stakes at Royal Ascot, only to lose the race on a controversial disqualification. And perhaps even more significantly, the Eclipse first and second Environment Friend and Stagecraft. If the Irish Derby or his late summer rest had opened up any cracks in Suave Dancer's makeup, one or more of them would certainly find that out. If his defeat by Generous had done anything to diminish Suave Dancer's enthusiasm, one or more of them would be happy to exploit his weakness. What Suave Dancer did to this opposition revealed more clearly than anything that Cash Asmussen had been quite right when he claimed a month earlier that the Irish Derby had finally made a man of Henri Chaloup's colt.
Zoman on the inside of Gogarty. They're 2 lengths in front of Stagecraft in third, and behind Stagecraft comes Environment Friend, followed by Suave Dancer. Topanura is last but one, and finally Prudent Manor as they race down to complete the first quarter mile. And Gogarty, the rank outsider, setting the pace, half a length in front of Zoman. Gap of over 3 lengths to Stagecraft. Steve Cawthon running third, Environment Friend the grey 4, tracked by the favourite Suave Dancer, with Topanura last but one and Prudent Manor last of all. Gogarty by over a length as they pass the 7 marker. Zoman in second, then Stagecraft. Suave Dancer moves up on the outside of Environment Friend. As they run down now towards the 6 furlong pole, Gogarty and Willie Supple by 2 from Zoman. Suave Dancer has moved up third, Stagecraft 4. Environment Friend is 5. Then Topanura and Prudent Manor is out the back as they continue down the back straight towards the 5 pole. And Gogarty leads by 2.5 from Zoman in second. Suave Dancer 3, Stagecraft 4. Then Environment Friend on the outside. Topanura is behind them and Prudent Manor last of all as they ring around by the 4 furlong marker now. And it's Gogarty with Zoman now on his outside. Suave Dancer poised on the outside of Stagecraft. Environment Friend being niggled along. Topanura is 3 lengths back. They race towards the 3 furlong pole. Zoman with a white face, the leader from Gogarty. Suave Dancer cruising. Environment Friend getting closer. Steve Cawthon begins to go to work on Stagecraft. Topanura is off them. They're in the straight over 2 to race. Zoman leads. Tracked by Suave Dancer as they come towards the 2 furlong pole. Environment Friend runs way off the bend. They race past the 2 now, and it's Suave Dancer who hits the front, tackled by Stagecraft. Zoman on the inside. Topanura under pressure. Environment Friend right out in the centre of the track, but as they race towards the final furlong, it's Suave Dancer who quickens away. He's drifted towards the rail a little, but he's 3 to 4 lengths clear of Stagecraft. Zoman, Environment Friend out on his own on the stand side, but this is a good performance from a very good horse. Suave Dancer, Environment Friend's run all over the track. It's going to be second, but up the line, Suave Dancer eased down, wins it like a high-class performer from Environment.
Only a horse of the very highest class could have treated such opposition with such absolute contempt. It was obvious that his regular jockey had been right about the effect of that first clash with Generous. Some horses are demoralised by a single defeat. Their competitive urge shrivels as a result of it. Suave Dancer had grown as a result of his experience on the Curragh. He'd come back from his summer break a more complete horse than he'd gone away. Suddenly, the belief in Generous's superiority over his only European rival was no longer that certainty that it had seemed. The form lines from Leopardstown told Suave Dancer's supporters exactly what they wanted to know, that on this performance there was very little between him and the English Derby winner, even on Generous's supposedly invincible form in the King George. And who was to say quite how much Suave Dancer had had in reserve on that second expedition to Ireland? During his preparation for the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, the character of Suave Dancer became more and more apparent. In spite of his natural elegance, he is a stocky, pugnacious kind of horse, but one who's alert and attentive to everything that goes on around him. A horse who has a sense of dignity and self-esteem about him. His attitude towards human beings is one of tolerance rather than one of dependence. This is not a horse, John Hammond assures us, who enjoys being petted or fussed about in his box. If a horse can become aware of his status, Suave Dancer is aware that he's one of the big boys now. The Arc, the autumn decider, and the natural climax of the European racing season. It's the target for every horse with championship pretensions. Every middle distance horse who is good enough to take part and fit enough to race will be there. This year, though, in spite of the quality of the field, which includes the winners of no less than 12 Group 1 races, including the 1990 Derby winner Quest for Fame, the 1990 Arc third Snurge, and a challenger from America, the so-called Big Grey Train El Senor, most calculations concern just 4 horses. Daniel Wildenstein's Pistolet Bleu, who'd been unbeaten until a narrow defeat on his return from a long absence in the Prix Niel, Magic Knight, the impressive winner of the Prix Vermeil, largely because winners of the Prix Vermeil have such an impressive record in France's greatest race, Generous and Suave Dancer himself. Most serious calculations concern just the big two. For many, Generous was the champion-elect and his position as favourite unshakable. But there was a strong school of thought which held that the period off the course since July might just have blunted him. And that Suave Dancer, who'd already shown that his brilliance had not only survived but increased in the latter part of the season, might have improved past him. The Arc demands the ultimate from the horses who take part in it after a long, hard season. It demands a lot from their humans as well.
I'm very, very nervous till Saturday afternoon. And it must be some mechanism in the body of the persons, but I have come down from Saturday afternoon, and then it have built up 20 minutes before the race again.
Just 2 minutes then away from all the questions being answered.
They're ready, racing. Away to a good start too. Magic Knight in the centre, one of the first away with Shamsheer, and going fast too is Jet Ski Lady. But the pacemaker Art Bleu got through on the inside to take it up early from Jet Ski Lady. Very handy is Quest for Fame. Pistolet Bleu right up in the box seat on the inside behind his pacemaker as they sort themselves out. Generous is crossing over from out very wide as well. Then follows Snurge, and in the middle of the field is Pigeon Voyageur. Sorting themselves out though, it's Art Bleu the leader, on settling down from Jet Ski Lady. Pistolet Bleu settles in third on the inside. Generous working over into a handy position, fourth on the outside of runners. Followed further back by Shamsheer. Quest for Fame the centre, Misalledge the inside. Then follows Snurge back in the field from Magic Knight. Pista further back in the field is Pigeon Voyageur at this stage from Toulon. As they race down the side of the course, it's Art Bleu by 2 lengths to Pistolet Bleu and Jet Ski Lady. A length away Generous from Quest for Fame, then Misalledge the inside from Shamsheer. A length further back then Magic Knight poking up on the inside of Pigeon Voyageur. In the groove is next Snurge out on a limb very wide from Toulon. Back towards the rear is Suave Dancer, and 3 or 4 lengths away El Senor. Going around the first turn, Art Bleu cuts out a good pace by 2 or 3 lengths. In second placing Pistolet Bleu on the inside of Generous out very wide. Then Quest for Fame the centre from Shamsheer. Back on the inside is Misalledge. Then Jet Ski Lady is gone, getting really squeezed in the centre, dropping back quickly. In the groove, moving into it now from Pigeon Voyageur. It's Art Bleu the leader from Generous out wide. Then follows Quest for Fame the centre. Then on the inside Pistolet Bleu from Shamsheer with the white sleeves. On the inside next is Misalledge from Magic Knight going well. So too is in the groove. Further back then is Pigeon Voyageur. Suave Dancer towards the rear of the field but being eased out. Coming towards the turn now, 500 out in the arc, and the leader is now Art Bleu, tackled by the stablemate Pistolet Bleu on the inside. Out wider then is Quest for Fame from Generous. Further back then is Shamsheer, out very wide. Suave Dancer unleashing a run now from in the groove. Inside the 400, Generous is gone, dropping back, and now the leader is Pistolet Bleu from Magic Knight. Out wider though, Suave Dancer is absolutely swamping them. Suave Dancer going home 3 to their 1, grabs the lead now from Pistolet Bleu. Magic Knight a gap then to Toulon running on, but Suave Dancer is going to win the arc. Suave Dancer 3 in front and drawing away. Suave Dancer goes on to win well. Magic Knight gets up for second. Third Pistolet Bleu.
The moment when Suave Dancer was let down by Cash and quickened away from Pistolet Bleu in the 70th running of the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe was one of the great moments in the history of the race. One which was comparable with the moment that Dancing Braves stormed past his field in 1986, or the one in which Seabird overwhelmed Reliance and Diatome in 1965. This was the moment when the doubters were forced to realise that they had been lucky enough to have seen a great horse. The result of the Arc had never been certain until that moment, because the doubt had always existed about his ability to get a fast-run 12 furlongs in energy-sapping ground. And though Suave Dancer had apparently closed quite easily from well back in the field, there was always the possibility that there would be nothing left when Cash had to ask him. Suave Dancer's response to the question when it came was complete. It was triumphant. Had Cash known all along? Was the Arc an equal triumph for him, a vindication of masterly waiting tactics by the man who probably rides Longchamp better than anyone else alive?
Down the back, I was a little bit farther back than I wanted to be. I mean, I was in behind Snurge. Snurge wasn't following quite as well as I wanted him to. He was right on Generous's tail going up the back. Coming down the hill, we had a couple on the inside that were out. I did ease up a little bit behind in the groove coming into the false straight. When we come out of the false straight, eased him out to take a peek here. I'm a bit wide. We're just on the outer limit of the new track. We are a bit wide, but everybody on the inside's pretty much dead. When I did get there and take a look, saw how many people were off the bridle, I gave him 100 yards, 200 yards of fresh air, and then when I kicked on, he found what I wanted. I brought him back over to the rails. We were as far out as we wanted to be. I didn't want him to be running out on his own. We did have trouble here one time, but once I got down and went to work on him, he just left him for dead.
The one thing we didn't want to do was to just follow Generous. I said to Cash to ride his own race, depending on what pace they were going. And if we didn't get to the other horse, we didn't get to him. And I thought he rode a wonderful race.
For Henri Chaloub and his family, it was the realization of their racing dream.
It's incredible. I never believed that a horse will make such a movement. The children of my friends just are so proud to say to their friends at school, "We won." It's incredible. They identify themselves to us because they are so happy. We had so much telephones, it's incredible. So many people like horses and like us. Everybody was so happy for us.
I think he has given the family, he's given us great moments, and I look forward for next year's great moments as well with him and with other new horses that Henri is bringing up. I think his new crop is promising, and I look forward to that.
For Henri Chaloub, there is now much to look forward to in 1992. As well as his established stars, he has many exciting prospects. One of these is the unraced bay colt Manila Proud.
Big, leggy, lanky, backward 2-year-old at the moment. He's a very nice mover. He's a very scopy horse. Looks like he could be anything or nothing. He's an exciting prospect for next year, but those that are exciting at home, you wait until you see them on the track and wait and see them really prove it before you start working up a sweat.
Henri Chaloub is one of France's most sporting owners, and 1991 has been a tremendous year for him. Dear Doctor acquitted himself quite splendidly all season, and in May won the Group 2 Prix Jean de Chaudenay, beating Passing Sail and Misalleged, who went on to win the Breeders' Cup Turf.
And about 5 lengths covers them as they head towards the home turn. Glorify only a half length now in front. On the outside, looming up is Passing Sail to throw out a challenge. They've kicked away 2 lengths to Misalleged on the outside from Chidani, who can't go on. Neither can Arakant, who drops back. And here's Dear Doctor taking to the outside in the hoop sleeve, starting to rocket home. Halfway up the straight now, and Passing Sail goes 2 lengths in front. Glorify can't go on. But here's Dear Doctor with a wet sail right down the centre of the course. Dear Doctor ranges up on the outside, grabs Passing Sail, and going home 2 to his 1. Dear Doctor far too smart for them, and Dear Doctor clearing away to win for Cash.
And on the day of the out, Dear Doctor failed by just a neck to add the Turf Classic at Aqueduct to the family's trophies.
Solar Splendor comes through the stretch with a length and a half lead. Cutting into the gap on the outside, here comes Dear Doctor down along the inside, spinning in Fortune's wheel. Inside the 16th pole, Solar Splendor is game. Coming on quickly on the outside, Dear Doctor with Cordero, Solar Splendor, Dear Doctor, those two fight it out. Solar Splendor wins the Turf Classic.
He's not a top-class horse. He's certainly top of the 2nd division. He's a very tough horse, very resilient. Apart from his last race in America, he's been very consistent this year. He's won a Group 2, he's been placed 2nd a couple of times in Group 1s, and he's a good soldier.
But the most exciting news of all for 1992 has to be the decision to keep Suave Dancer in training.
It's going to be very exciting having me in training next year. A fair amount of worry. You watch where he puts his feet every day and that sort of thing. But it's a brave decision by the owner, and I hope it works out. I don't see why it shouldn't. But for me, it's lovely. At least you've got one guaranteed Group 1 horse in the yard for next year. They don't come along every day.
I'm very much looking forward to him staying and training at 4 because he hasn't. I don't think we've found his limits yet.
So the thrilling prospect now exists of further clashes between an already established hero and the upstarts of 1992. And for his sportsmanship in keeping Suave Dancer in training, Henri Chaloub was himself rewarded at the Cartier Awards with a special presentation for the individual who'd done most for European racing in 1991. For the owner, justification for taking such a brave decision.
Fantastic, fantastic. I didn't expect it, I must admit. I didn't know how it will go, but it looks like it have gone my way, and I'm very happy about it. Thank you very much.
So Suave Dancer has been given the opportunity to confirm in 1992 what we all found out in 1991, that this is one of the great racehorses, that Suave Dancer's story is one of the great racing romances. For Henri Chaloub, the horse has recharged not just his enthusiasm for the sport, but his life.
I think it's a fantastic new feeling you have. This our passion now, passion of have found its main objective, and I am very, very, very happy that we have been able to do the Jockey Club and Arc de Triomphe, and my feeling it's fantastic. It have given me a certain new use, and also it have given me more, let's say, stamina for even my business, and it have identified all the family around a winning horse, which is a very good thing, I think, at the end of the day. My wish is that out of this successful performance I have had, we'll have a lot of new possible owners, potential owners, and this to join this game, because I think this game is fantastic and it gives you a lot of things.
So now, all being well, we'll have another year of him to look forward to, and the generation, which includes Arazi, has the most formidable representative of the class of 91 to be tested against. You never want to tempt fate with overconfident prognoses where racehorses are concerned, but all the signs are that the end of 1991 is just the end of a chapter in the story of Suave Dancer. It's certainly not the end of the book.
It's Art Bleu, the leader, from Generous out wide, then follows Quest for Fame, the centre. Then on the inside, Pistolet Bleu from Shamshir with the white sleeves. On the inside, next is Missalege from Magic Knight going well. So too is In the Groove. Further back then is Pigeon Voyager, Suave Dancer towards the rear of the field, but being eased out. Coming towards the turn now, 500 out in the arc, and the leader is now Art Bleu, tackled by the stablemate Pistolet Bleu on the inside. Out wider then is Quest for Fame from Generous. Further back then is Shamshir, out very wide. Suave Dancer unleashing a run now from In the Groove. Inside the 400, Generous has gone, dropping back, and now the leader is Pistolet Bleu from Magic Knight. Out wider though, Suave Dancer is absolutely swamping them. Suave Dancer going home 3 to their 1, grabs the lead now from Pistolet Bleu. Magic Knight a gap then to Toulon running on, but Suave Dancer is going to win the arc. Suave Dancer 3 in front and drawing away. Suave Dancer goes on to win well. Magic Knight gets up for second.